You're welcome to Politics with KO. We are live from London. This is Ben Television, and today we're going to be looking at the disappearance, more or less, of the Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari. He left Nigeria February 19, 2017, and he's not been seen in public, at least. He's not been able to speak live to Nigerians, either via Facebook, Skype, the NTA. But the privileged few, Senate President Bukola Saraki and the high and mighty, they've been visiting London. They've actually moved the machinery of government to the UK. So people are asking, where is President Buhari? And others are saying it's much ado about nothing. He handed over to Oshibajo. So what's the worry about? So for those on Facebook Live, you're going to see our guests in the studio. You know, this is the age of internet. We have MTN in the UK too, so there's always the possibility of things going wrong. But it's going to be a full program because we're going to have Ronke Lawal, a PR consultant, is in the studio. Emeka Douglas is a consultant neurosurgeon, and then Kayode Ajulo, who is a Nigerian medical barrister, a lawyer, will be joining us via Skype later in the studio. So first, let me welcome Douglas and Ronke. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having us, Kyo.
Okay. So, but before we go on, there's a short clip. It's a funny part of Nigeria. President Obasanjo, you know, you can't take that man. He's 90. He's 80, actually. And he's growing young. And there's a funny side to President Obasanjo. And we want you to see what Obasanjo did recently. He met a Nigerian in London during an event in London, and he made himself quite accessible. And some are saying that if Obasanjo is 80 and Buhari is not 80 and Obasanjo is looking sharper and younger, that they must have had different trainings in the military. So let us go straight and see Obasanjo in a very laid-back mood. When we come back, we go straight and have the full conversation on the disappearance of President Buhari. Don't go away.
What are you doing, Baba?
Bridget, you are a troublemaker.
Baba, what are you doing?
Baba,
what are you? So you say me I used to disturb very well. Let me show you. What is even in your pocket? No money. Baba is broke.
Yes.
No money.
I'm an old man. I'm an old man. Most old people are broke.
You're not broke, Baba.
Yeah.
I will check your briefcase.
Okay. Then if you have the key to it. But are you enjoying yourself here?
Yes, I am.
What is the purpose of your being here now?
I'm a PhD student.
In what?
Food science.
Food science.
I'm going to take over your farm.
That's good. Come on, take it over and run it well.
You know I can do it.
I know you can.
In fact, they put me in the proper place in the will where I will take over the OPL, farm.
You want to be in the will, not for you to take over the farm.
I want to take over the farm. Gong. It's a farm that I want.
Now you will be competing with so many people, including the bank.
See, Emmanuel Ogbeche, Shadrach Koho, Achai, and Joseph, Samson, they are the ones reading you.
They are reading me now?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes, right now they are seeing you.
Okay, that's good. They will see that you are harassing me.
I'm not harassing you, I'm even hungry.
Hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, somebody is coming to take me from here to lunch.
Going to do lunch with Baba?
Somebody is taking me. A Nigerian gentleman is coming to take me.
Is it 805?
What is 805?
One restaurant that I won't find Nigeria restaurant.
There's a Nigeria restaurant they call 805.
Yes, it's over 20 years old.
No, I've never been there.
Okay.
How can I eat Nigerian food in Nigeria and come here and eat Nigerian food?
Well, Baba, you like ewa?
I like ewa and I like pounded yam.
You like pounded yam?
With egusi soup.
With egusi soup, okra?
Okra too. But my okra must have fish inside.
Fish. Do you still eat meat?
Not really.
Eat more of smoked fish.
I don't eat more of dry fish.
Okay.
But they're smoked.
You should see, Baba has been using this Nokia phone since 19. Baba will not change it. Nokia 2020.
Now
See.
this is not Nokia 2020. This is Nokia E90.
It's 2020.
No, it's Nokia
Baba, this
E90.
Nokia has seen latter days.
Now, I am a computer
age. Baba, you have been in the time of 60s and 90s when they used to wear bala trousers.
Yes.
You now improved. You started wearing agbada. That old just agbada that is your sleeve. You're no longer wearing it too. But your own phone is still that time.
Yes. Because you are digital.
That was former President Olusegun Obasanjo, laid back mode. So, but today it's about Buhari. Now, let me go straight to, we have a medical doctor here, Douglas. He's a consultant neurosurgeon. He's not an unfamiliar face on politics with KO, and he's been on this program once. And he's quite passionate about Nigeria. Let me ask you, I'm not going to ask you to speculate about Buhari as a person, but let me get this straight. If I travel to Uganda on a trip, and I'm meant to return 10 days later, and I call my family and I said, look, my doctor is saying I should not return now until I get the result of a test. How serious can that be?
Well, it's difficult to say. Like, the problem with this issue is that there are lots of speculations because of there's a gap in terms of information sharing and stuff like that. If it just depends, what kind of tests are you having? What kind of tests will make you want to stay back? Is it a blood test? Is it a kind of imaging test where you're trying to look at the brain, look at the chest, look at the tummy, look at the limbs and stuff like that? So I think the major issue here is just about the scenario you paint where someone leaves the family and then is saying that you can't come back and stuff like that. At least you'll be given an idea of what the kind of test and why you're staying back. So it's actually difficult to fathom because medicine now is really complex and complicated. It's not as simple as straightforward as that. And that's why information is very important.
Okay. So because information, and then Ronke, you're a PR consultant, and thank God, thankfully you're also Nigerian. You're Britico Nigerian, as I always say. Do you think our government, they've done well in terms of the way they've managed the information concerning the departure of President Buhari, his long stay in the UK, and the conflicts that we have in how well have they managed the situation?
It's been a farce. It's ridiculous. It makes a mockery out of Nigeria. Nobody can really take our president seriously. We're seeing lots of people just sharing fake news. We're in an era of literally fake news, and we're allowing an entire nation's president to just disappear into thin air. And it's easy for us to laugh, you know, on social media. There's lots of banter, so to speak. But honestly, this is a serious matter. And if the Nigerian government can't even take it seriously and communicate effectively, not only with its population, but the diaspora, even us here, we don't know. He's supposed to be in London. We have not even seen anything or heard anything. It's ridiculous. And it's, for me, as a PR consultant, it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassment as a member of the Nigerian diaspora. It's an embarrassment as just a member of any community to see that nobody knows what's going on. And if we're talking about Africa rising, Nigeria being this amazing economy and all of these things, even simple things as transparent information sharing, we can't even do.
Okay, when they say, okay, transparent information sharing. Now, Douglas, you guys in the medical profession, you say that a patient has got a right to his private information, his medical information. Is Buhari, the handlers of Buhari or his family, are they right to say, look, whatever is wrong with him is none of your business, you know, and he does not need to tell anyone what is wrong with him? I think
there are fundamental issues here. Before I answer your question, let me just state some very clear things. Kayode, Ronke, myself, we can all be ill. From the age of 30, right, we all start getting old. We all start getting wear and tear on our body. Now, how old are we saying Buhari is? We are saying he's in his early 70s, right? So all the issues of old age and stuff like that can come up. So he can be ill, right? Now, when you say when you talk about the confidentiality thing,
yes,
you understand? Hey, what are we talking about here? When Buhari became the president of Nigeria, automatically he became state property.
Exactly.
And because the people of Nigeria, do you understand, the power belongs to the people and sovereignty belongs to the people, they own the state. So that means that Buhari is, that the people of Nigeria are the boss of Buhari.
Thank you.
If you have a crucial problem that's going to affect your physical capacity and your mental capacity to govern, especially with a complex country like Nigeria.
So Nigerians have a right to know. Now, Ronke, I'll paint. There are two scenarios. In Cuba, Fidel Castro was ill. The state gave the full diagnosis of what has happened to him, and he handed over to Rahul. That took for almost 2 years, and then he passed on. But the people had the right to information, and this was a situation where you say so-called socialist country. Venezuela, the same thing happened. Do you think Nigeria would have a lot to learn in terms of transparency when it comes to the health of people in public office? And what could they have done, should they have done differently?
What concerns me is it's almost like we're forgetting that these people are public servants. And so the scenarios the pictures you just painted show us that those leaders know that they serve the people, the masses. And I think in case of Nigeria, they should have, hoping, a communications department. They've got spokespeople that I've seen share tweets about where he is, or, apparently this is where he is, but we still don't know. And what should have taken place is a clear-cut press statement, letting people know he's ill, and perhaps letting people know what his illness is once they've found out, not just that he's gone away to rest, and now it's been extended because he needs more rest. And another thing that concerns us, even more than anything else, again, as a member of the diaspora, is the fact that he is resting outside of his own country. So what does that say about Nigeria? It's not a good enough place for him to rest. There's a whole campaign about made in Nigeria. We should do more to empower Nigeria and Nigerians. And yet the leader of the nation is not even, following up on what is being said by staying in Nigeria. If he needs to rest, there's lots of places he can rest, no? It's just confusing. It's a real confusion.
It's good we have a neurosurgeon here, we've got a PR consultant here, but let us look at the legal aspect. We're going to touch all segments. Now, let us go and join Kayode Ajulo. Is a Nigerian human rights activist, and he's also a lawyer. Kayode Ajulo is joining us via Skype. Hello, Kayode. Can you hear and see me, hopefully?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Now, Ajulo, first, has President Buhari done anything wrong? He handed over to Oshibajo. He's done what is required of him constitutionally. What is the noise about?
Well, we have the context whether the president has done something wrong via our constitution. We have to be sincere that Nigeria is a republic, and as a republic, we are governed by our rules. And for what the president has done so far is governed by the section of the constitution. And if today the president chooses to leave the country because for some reason, maybe ailment, he's sick and that, all that he needs to do is that you can find that under the section 145 of our constitution that speaks to the fact that the president should transmit a letter to the National Assembly, that is the president of the Senate, and Speaker of the House of the Representatives, telling them that he's going on holiday or whatever he wanted to go. And that is why that our constitution make a provision for the office of the vice president. And I do call them spare tire. Spare tire in the sense that until when the president needs them or when president is not available, that they act as a spare. As it is, the president has done that.
The president has obeyed section 145 of the constitution. Is handed over to Oshibajo. On paper, can Oshibajo dissolve the cabinet today as we speak? Can it take some vital decisions that wouldn't be seen as usurping the power of the president?
By the function of the office of the president, immediately the Oshibajo becomes the acting president. He can do all power vested with the president, including dissolving the FEC. Even what I wouldn't expect you to ask me is that can he command the army? Because the president is always the commander-in-chief. As the acting president, is the same thing the acting commander-in-chief of the Nigerian forces.
Okay, so Shibajo is the commander-in-chief now.
As at now, by the virtue of being an acting...
Before I go back to the studio, let me ask you this question. If Oshibajo is now the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, is the #1 citizen technically, why did Donald Trump decide to speak to a sick person in London instead of the commander-in-chief in Nigeria?
Well, I wanted to believe that the Donald Trump call is more of a PR stunt in trying to help this #1 citizen in the world. If I'm sick, I think for you to show I'm alive, because it is expected that if Trump wanted to speak to anybody, Trump should speak with the acting president. But I believe, because of the circumstances of what is happening, that is why I believe that Trump should speak to the president to assure Nigerian that is
hold on, Ajulo. Let us say at this junction that we invited Femi Adesina, the special advisor to the president. He declined. We also invited Garba Shehu, another spokesperson to the president. He also declined. Buhari has about 6 spokespersons and an itinerary of numerous other spokespersons. And we couldn't get any one of them to speak on this program. So we try to be fair. Douglas, what does this say about the issue of medical tourism? Is the Nigerian president a medical tourist to the UK?
I think I'll answer your question, Kayode. But first of all, I like one word, incapacitated. Do you understand? I'm sure that word is somewhere in our constitution. What does it mean when you say the president is incapacitated? Yeah. Now, I'll go back to what you talk about. There are a few issues here. Number one, if you look at the body language of the APC and the government when they were coming in, there was this sort of move or this push where they talked about trying to reverse medical or stop medical tourism, especially for people within the public sector and public officials. Hey, we always talk about leading by example, and that's a fundamental thing. Do you understand? From the ENT ear infection now to this time and stuff like that. Do you understand? So I would have expected that this kind of issue, that for a president and the presidency that loves the country and is passionate about the country, can use whatever medical condition he has to actually throw more light and help in terms of the key issues of health promotion and advocacy
and
for Nigerians.
They voted a lot of money into the Asoro Clinic and a lot of money into the medical unit of the president.
Exactly. Specifically, specifically that issue was that when you looked at the 2016 budget, right, the amount of money for the capital projects for that specific state house clinic was much more than all the teaching hospitals and the federal in Nigeria.
Wow.
So there's so many unanswered questions. So why is all this money being invested in these kind of projects if the people who are supposed to use it are not using it? And secondly, I love the term PR stunt. Basically, what our president is saying is it's more important to get some visibility with Donald Trump than with his own people. He's not respecting his own people enough to even just do one video clip or something, a measured press statement with measured language and linguistics, just letting us know when is he coming back, where is he, and why he actually had to. I'm still upset that he's actually still in London, and nobody's even seen him in London, when we've got, like you rightly said, clinics that are supposed to be workable clinics in Nigeria, and he's not there.
So do you think he should have done something like a video conversation with the country?
Of course he should have. It doesn't make any sense. So you're willing to call
Saraki?
It doesn't even make any, for me, it makes absolutely no sense why he can't, in this age of technology, have done one nicely shot video clip wherever he is in the world, because at the moment I don't even know if he really is in London. And that's another problem when it comes to the PR stunt that we're talking about. He could be anywhere, and it's that's the thing that's damaging and detrimental to not only our community but brand Nigeria. You know, we've just come over this whole idea of trusting Nigerians. We've got so many issues with our brand as a nation. Thank you. And then we have our own leader just floating around somewhere and we don't know.
Okay, Ajulo, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, Ajulo, if the president, according to the constitution, the president has handed over to Shibajo, section 145, you lawyers like to quote numbers. I don't know why you put all those numbers in like it's in the Bible, verse 1, verse 1, section this. But back to the serious thing. If Buhari decides to rest in London for the next 2 years, is that something that is visible? If he's sick for 2 years and he decides to stay in London for 2 years, yes, he has fulfilled 145 and that resolves it.
No, Kayode, we have to get one thing clear.
Yeah.
I speak tonight as a lawyer.
Okay.
And it is not my duty to turn it upside down.
Okay.
Please, the Constitution of Nigeria has taken care of everything.
Yeah.
Though we may not like it,
yeah.
though it may be unethical that the president should disappear as it is.
Yeah.
But let us face the law, and it's the law I plead here.
Okay, does the law allow the president to be away for, say, 2 years, and Oshibajo will be in acting capacity for those 2 years?
Yes, the law is so clear that, mind you, the reason we have a president is to perform some certain function.
Yes.
And the very reason that in a situation that we believe that he's not performing it, because I remember the doctor in the house talked about incapacitation.
Yes.
Now, what the law says is that the only people, that's I'm quoting Nigerian law, that's Nigerian Constitution.
Yeah.
The only people that can raise that issue to that effect are the members of the Federal Executive Council and this minister. Because when you check section 144 of our Constitution, mentioned that the 2/3 majority of those members of the Federal Executive Council, which happen to be the minister, that was headed and chaired by acting President Oshibajo. Once they pass the resolution that the president sees not to now be incapacitated, after that, the resolution will be sent to the National Assembly, that is the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, in which a committee will now be set up, that's the medical committee, made of at least one person who must be the personal physician under the president, member of the Nigerian Medical Association, and some other people. We'll sit down together. We now examine the body of the president. If they now believe that this president cannot perform his function again, that is when the president will be removed.
Okay.
You are not to do that.
Okay, at one point, okay, Ajulo, before I need to come back to the studio, at what point, if I'm an employee, that's the right word, if I don't go to work in 6 months, after the following 6 months, I'm not fit to, at what point will the Nigerian people get to the point where we say, okay, 6 months is more than usual for a president to be away for the country? At what point would you now invoke that segment where you will say we'll call into question the capacity, the ability of the president to govern the country? Or we just wait for the Federal Executive Council when they decide is the right time? If they decide it's the next 2 years, then we wait for them.
This is one of the reasons why sometimes some people say law is an ass. Unfortunately, our law, that's our Constitution, never give a limitation. What they say is that anytime, if Oshibajo and the member of the Fed wake up tomorrow to say, yes, President, you cannot perform your function, so be it. If they should wait for the next 3 months, so be it. If they should wait for the next 6 months, so be it. If they should wait for the next 1 year, so be it. If they should now wait for the next 2 years, 3 years, so be it. This is not Kayode Ajulo speaking.
That's a very important information you've given to us. And a message to my producer, Tony. I want to thank him for getting rid of those distractions that we're seeing now. Let me say, Douglas, if it's worrying, it's not the Nigerian people that decide. We have to, if the Federal Executive Council, Buhari's appointees, we have to wait for them to decide. If they decide in the next 2 years, the president is, okay, we don't really need to look into anything, so be it.
But Kayode, that is the problem, isn't it? That's the fulcrum of this whole thing. Because of the lack of information of, okay, what exactly is the president's medical problem? Do you understand? Is it a problem that incapacitates him both when you look at the mental capacity and the physical capacity? Because those are the things that would have guided. You asked the question earlier on that acting President Oshibajo, is he actually functioning as an active president in the real sense of the word? And those are the problems, because giving information with the presidency, the Federal Executive Council, giving the information to Nigerians of exactly what truly is happening would have helped to smoothen out exactly what the real issues are and what Oshibajo can actually do as acting president. Okay,
I've got a caller on the line, and I just want to thank you for calling in. Even though I didn't read out the number, it means you guys are watching this program and you have it written down somewhere. So thank you for calling. Yinka, good evening. It's 1 month, last Friday of every month now. This is recession period.
I enjoyed it. Because you have Kayode Ajulo in Nigeria.
Yes.
There are some areas Kayode Ajulo didn't show more light into. Let me put more light into it.
Go ahead, sir.
You asked him a question about Donald Trump.
Yes.
Not calling the acting president.
Yes.
Who happens to be the vice president. Yes. Do you know why?
Tell us.
Let me tell you this.
Yes.
Where is my president today? My president is in Abuja House.
Okay.
Just like any other Briton in Nigeria.
Yes.
That happens to be in the embassy of a Britain. Where do you think that person is?
Yes, go ahead.
He's in Britain.
Okay.
Abuja House is Nigerian house.
Yes.
My president is in Abuja House, which is the Nigerian house.
Okay.
Definitely, by and large, he is in Nigeria.
Yeah.
He is still acting. He is still performing some duty.
Okay.
Whereby the protocol of the conversation between him and Donald Trump still remains genuine.
Okay.
It is an agreement, an arrangement made that don't speak with my acting president, speak with me.
Okay.
That is the reason why the conversation will go down.
Yinka, thank you for that, Yinka. Thanks for calling. And I will write the phone number now, the studio phone number. Yinka made a clear point that maybe there is an agreement between the president and the acting president that look some roles, you know, in terms of phone conversation. I can take phone conversation. I'm not too incapacitated to take phone conversations.
Right.
But says who?
And why wasn't the phone conversation at least filmed? Why actually?
Says who?
Exactly. I mean,
Says
who
who?
makes that rule?
Do you know whether he's actually incapacitated?
Yeah, who makes that rule?
That is the issue. That is the gap.
No,
you understand? That they're letting different sources feel.
Yes.
Now, I want to bring in a fresh angle now. There is the narrative in Nigeria that, and I'll go back to Kayode on this. Kayode Ajulo, if you're still there.
Yes.
Hello, Kayode.
Hello, yeah, I hear you.
There's a narrative in Nigeria. Look, I've got a lot of people calling me in Nigeria and say, I better keep Buhari in London. No, things have changed. Things are now moving. You know, there's a perception that since Oshibajo came in acting capacity, there's a dynamic, there seems to be some spring in the feet of the government. As a matter of fact, Naira gained by almost 100. Naira gained almost 100%. I was told in the market fell from 500 and something to 450. Do you think maybe the spring, maybe what we actually need now is this sort of how do you call it, defining intervention, so that Buhari can rest a bit for the acting president to help him out in areas where he won't be able to perform well?
Yes, currently I have to agree with you on that point, because some of those I've discussed with. Yeah. Even there is another school of thought that believe that this is part of the strategy of the president, that since everybody seems to believe he cannot do it right, let me take a little rest so that I will allow a professor to work. And actually, I left Nigeria on Wednesday. I bought the dollar at the rate of 516 naira to $1 on Wednesday. But today, a friend of mine, Wale Adesokola, told me that at Sheraton, dollar has gone down to 4.
I got those confirmations too, that dollar is crashing in Nigeria now.
So I believe, you know, in governance, until you are there before you know what it is. Maybe I know we have more PR there. Maybe this is part of the strategy of trying to bring sanity. And again, another thing we have to know, apart from dollar, we have to be sincere. Nigeria seems to be calm recently. Yeah. People are attributing the fact to the fact that the president is not around.
Okay. Hold on to that thought. I've got Ronke on the phone, on the line. Hello, Ronke, good evening. Not Ronke in the studio, Ronke on the phone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ronke. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm coming from Highbury.
Okay, go ahead, please.
First of all, what is happening in the last 3-4 weeks is just proving that nobody is indispensable, and anybody can be sick. I was in the civil service in this country. Yeah. I was 6 months upstate because I had an accident in Nigeria. Yeah. But that's not my point. My point is, what goes round comes round. Yeah. These people are not punishing Nigerians. They are actually punishing themselves and the closest to them. All the money they are carrying around and depositing here, US and whatever, they could be using to make Nigeria better. They're not doing it. What is in it for them? I don't call them human beings. I call them beings. They are being used by the devil. And I don't see what they are doing for Nigeria.
Okay. All right,
I'm using this point to please call on Nigerians in diaspora to call on our government to either do it or leave it. And that will be with the people who vote.
Okay, thank you.
Vote all this rubbish out.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for that, Ronke. At this point, let me say that the second part of this program, we're going to be bringing Anthony Akabogu, an IT specialist, and Patrick Okene, a social commentator, to come and look at the political side. So you see, we've got all areas covered. But let us keep it on the professional level. You know, I'm supposed to be the unbiased one here. So, Ronke, should we say that President, and that's probably Ajulo trying to call via Skype again, but should we say that we should be a bit more sympathetic to President Buhari? He's human. Ronke said, look, anybody can fall ill.
Anybody can fall ill. We saw that we've seen that with many other leaders across the world. Even when Hillary Clinton was on the campaign trail, she fell ill, but we knew about it. We knew what the illness was. It was very transparent. But also, anybody can fall ill at home. If I keep bringing this back to why has he not fallen ill and stayed ill? I don't want him to stay ill, but stayed ill in Nigeria. Why has he fallen ill? And I believe he is a health tourist to some degree. And someone somewhere is pulling some strings to have him in London. And what I'd like to know from a medical perspective, maybe I am being naive, is there not good enough medical systems in place in Nigeria to assist him? Even in his restful capacity, what's going on?
I think the key thing is that, number one, we have a very fragmented and desolate healthcare system. That is the truth. Do you understand? So for a government, this government has been in what, for almost 20 months now, and I can tell you, because I shuttle between Nigeria and here, that it's been a joke, an absolute joke. With the healthcare system, an absolute joke. And you said, oh, President Buhari, that he looks as if he's no, he is definitely a healthcare tourist. There's no doubt about it. For an ear infection or something to do with ear, and you have to fly outside Nigeria, that's absolutely disgraceful. A few people, Mandela, when Mandela was critical, and there are different times that he was ill in his life, he was in South Africa. Ariel Sharon, the Israeli Prime Minister, when he had a bleed in his brain and stuff, he was looked after totally. Even Fidel Castro, he talked about, he never went outside.
He stayed in Cuba. It says so much.
So this speaks a lot about our medical situation.
It speaks about our leadership in Nigeria. The fundamental problem in Nigeria is the issue of what I term value for human life. You understand? We need leadership. And I hope the presidency, some of the presidency, we need leadership that actually promotes value for human life.
Okay, a lot happened in February, and Eno in Nigeria. We want to take the report from Eno to just tell us what's been happening in Nigeria in the month of February. When we come back, we're going to continue with the conversation about Buhari. We're going to get the professionals who have their final say, and then we'll bring Anthony and Patrick in later in the program. But remember, if you want to watch online, it's www.bentelevision.com, and this program is a community program organized by Nigerian volunteers. You know, we know they collect money from people. You know, people just volunteer their time so that you can have conversations. But then, let me also say to our compatriots in South Africa, please keep safe. With all the xenophobic attacks, you have to keep safe. When we get back, we'll give you a phone number that has been provided by the Nigerian Embassy in South Africa that you can call when you are in distress. Don't go away. Let's take the reports from our correspondents in Lagos.
Hello, welcome to the Home Front with Enor. The month began with Innocent Idibia, aka Two-Face or Two-Baba, calling on Nigerians to protest what he called bad governance and to demand an urgent explanation for the country's economic downturn. Well, after pressure from security agents, Two-Face decided to call the protest off. But it was too late. The passion had already been stirred amongst the people and the protest went on without him. Now, the government claims that its level of investment in social programs is far higher than any prior government in the country. But with rising prices of commodities, Nigerians are, for the most part, yet to feel the effect of any of these programs.
Dear Nigerians, after due consultations, it has become clear that the One Voice Nigerian protest scheduled to hold in Lagos and Abuja on Monday the 6th of February is under serious threat of hijack by interests not aligned with our ideals. The point I'm intent on making is not what the life of any Nigerian. It is in fact motivated by the need to demand a better deal for the ordinary Nigerian. I therefore announce the cancellation of the planned protest.
A different protest took place in Calabar in Cross River State by teachers of the Federal Government Girls College. Now, the teachers there claimed that some members of the Department of State Services stormed the school and attacked some teachers after one of the teachers caned a student who, unfortunately for him, had an aunt who worked for the DSS. The DSS is tasked with intelligence gathering and the protection of senior government officials. So if this act was indeed committed, it was way out of their jurisdiction. However, since corporal punishment is prohibited under the Child Rights Act, which Cross River State has signed into law, the teacher that caned the student was also acting outside of his jurisdiction as well. When President Muhammadu Buhari announced that he would begin a vacation in London starting from January 20th until February 6th and undergo routine medical tests, it didn't take long for rumours surrounding his health to circulate. But when the president decided to extend his vacation indefinitely, people began to question if the president was even alive. Senate President Bukola Saraki visited the president last week in London and described him as hale and hearty. The president was even well enough to have a phone conversation with US President Donald Trump. Which begs the million-dollar question. If the president really is as healthy as everyone says he is, why is he yet to return? From March 1st, it will become mandatory for bus conductors in Lagos State to wear name tags, uniforms and badges. This new measure is aimed at enforcing both decorum and safety for members of the public. If this can actually be enforced, then it's definitely a step in the right direction. The days where bus conductors can work without accountability and fear of punishment if they break the rules will hopefully be numbered.
With this new system, you have to pre-register and get a commuter passenger transit owner's license. Now your vehicle is registered, the driver is registered, the conductor is registered. Now let's know who are these people. So we now are also in agreement with the operator unions and associations to introduce uniforms. So when you are corporately dressed, you feel more of a professional, then the attitude will be better managed. Then we can give a better service delivery in our public transport system. And that will encourage more people to use the public transport system.
In a land full of tomatoes, it's uncanny how much we as a nation depend on imported tomato paste. In fact, recent reports indicate that no less than 189.5 metric tons of tomato paste and sauce was imported in the last 12 months. Now, Nigeria is the 14th largest producer of tomatoes, so we should be able to process some of it. Now, as we all fly the Made in Nigeria banner, please let's not forget about tomatoes so we won't see them having the same fate that our oil has had. And that's all we have time for on the home front of NR. But I'll be back next month, and I'll try and be outside in the streets of Lagos this time to delve into some big stories that Nigerians are talking about. NR Alfred Adeogun for Politrix with KO.
Man, you do well, not be small. Viewers, you're welcome back, and that was Eno's report on what's been happening in Nigeria, the highlights of what's been happening in Nigeria in February. But before we get back to the studio, I've got Temi on the line. Hello, good evening, Temi. Hello, good evening, Temi.
Oh, hello.
Hello, please tell us where you're calling from.
I'm in Houston at the moment.
Okay, go ahead. Let's have your contribution, please.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be a bit long because I've been listening to everything people have said, and I have a few comments. I think first it's been a bit unfair to the president and his handlers. One of the things one of the companies made was kind of like a lack of transparency around what is wrong with him.
Yes.
Now, I have to say that this is not the first time he's going to have issues with his health. Last time he had an ear infection, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And we did get to know about it. And now, in this case, it's true. I mean, it's been about a month now. We don't know what is wrong. They've not told us what is wrong.
Yeah.
But we do have to understand that sometimes, I mean, what if it's something serious? What if it is something that they're trying to come to terms with?
Yeah.
What if it's something that, you know, if they announced it would panic the public?
Okay.
You don't want that because you want the economy to be stable. Okay. You want a situation where maybe you have somebody demonstrating that, okay, fine, let's say the president can't come back or cannot continue resume his duties, like somebody capable that can continue with it. So we have to be gradually eased into that.
Okay. Tell me, because your line is bad and we get all your points, and thank you so much for calling. We need to give the president, like maybe there is, Douglas, she made a very good point there. We need to, maybe there's something they're trying to get in terms with, well, these are speculations anyway, but we need to be, there's the humanity in us. Should.
I think the key word here is clarity.
Okay.
That's the key word here. The problem is that, like Ronke said, this in terms of the information passing and the information giving, and that's what we call strategic communication, has been truly poor from the handlers of this thing from day one. Remember, we talked about capacity, mental and physical capacity, and stuff like that. We have a country that has really complex problems, Coyote. And if we have a government that's been struggling already, and then you now start putting in these issues of speculations and stuff like that, you're creating more problems than actually helping. And those are the issues here. I do understand where Temi is coming from in terms of, oh, people might be scared. No, manage this thing properly. People need information to work with.
All right, because we need to bring in the other guests. Two things. First, what should they do different going forward? How can they clear this mess in terms of information? James, don't worry, I'll come to you. And then last words after that.
Okay, so first of all, I don't know why we're being so gentle on a public servant. I understand he might be ill, we don't know, there's no real certainty. Secondly, I feel like we deserve and are owed the information from the government. So his spokespeople have to present us with a strategic press, I keep saying it, a press statement, something strategic, but since he's somewhere where you can have people film interviews, there's Wi-Fi everywhere, just have someone do a short media interview with him. Very short, it doesn't have to be very long, a very short filmed interview that we can just broadcast everywhere. If you've got the time to talk to Donald Trump, who is not even connected to us really, I know internationally in diplomacy and all of that, blah, 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 but seriously, let's just be professional about this. Nobody at the moment, aside from on Twitter, am I seeing some professionalism. We need professionalism. We would not, if this happened in the UK, if Theresa May fell ill, there is absolutely no way anybody would accept what's been happening with the Nigerian president here at all. She can't just disappear to France or no.
Okay, let me take James and then final words from Douglas. James, just a quick one. Good evening. Where are you calling from?
Thank you very much. I'm calling from Manchester.
Okay,
Just
go ahead.
a quick one about the health and the health delivery in Nigeria.
Yes.
The professional in the studio, Mr. Douglas, is not being fair.
Okay.
He's believing that magic will happen in Nigeria because Buhari is talking about poverty and accountability in terms of every sector in Nigeria. Are you saying that Buhari is today that he is now consulting any health professionals abroad? This man has his own continuity. He has his own physician that carry out his own report about his health with the counterparts abroad.
Yeah.
This is why he's supposed to do it. I'm an health professional, and you need to tell the truth about it.
Okay.
And if you want him to sit down in Nigeria, it depends on him. It depends on what he wants for his health.
Okay.
If he chooses to be here, he will be here. No matter what you provided in Nigeria. If somebody believes that he has his own professionals that look after his health here, even in India, he has the right to go there.
Okay, James, on that note, I'll let Douglas reply you so that we can bring in our next guest. Douglas,
I think it's very simple. James is talking about the president. Oh, he can go wherever he wants and stuff like that. There's an issue of national pride and also something that we've not talked about at all: national security.
Yeah.
National security. Have you ever thought of that? Do you think that the UK Prime Minister will be ill and be outside somewhere in another country and stuff like that? So please, let's not kid ourselves. Buhari represents the people of Nigeria. And I used two words before: passion and love. A president that has passion and love for his country will want to show that, yes, the healthcare of my people is important. And what I'm saying is that either in the body language, physically or whatever, that has not been shown in the last 20 months.
Okay.
That needs to happen because, very key, last statement, the Nigerian patients and the Nigerian public are worth it.
On that note, I want to thank both of you, Ronke and Douglas. Thanks for coming. It's been an interesting one. And Kayode Ajulo, who joined us via Skype, thank you so much. But there's one area, and viewers, don't go away. The second segment, wow, we're going to have Anthony and Patrick. If you just have rope, just tie these two people because they're going to give us the political angle to what is going on in Nigeria with Buhari's disappearance. But the president is getting support from a part of the country, the southeast. Reverend Mbaga, I don't know if I called that name right. He said something that Nigerians have been impatient with the president. Nigerians should know that Buhari is God sent. Let's listen to Reverend Father Mbaga from the southeastern part of Nigeria. And when we come back on this program, we'll be having Anthony and Patrick. Don't go away. It's Politics with KO.
Corruption, bribery and corruption. And assured all the Catholics to be praying that prayer every day after the communion. All the money voted for road constructions were swindled, eaten. Many of them became millionaires and billionaires in naira, in dollars, in pounds, in euro. Billionaires when they have no workshop, no business center. Somebody who has nothing he's doing, yet he's a billionaire because he's a politician. Then the oil money were messed up. Now the oil doom has come. And there's no preparation for it. The economy of Nigeria is an oil-based economy. My beloved Nigerians, those who led us from last year downwards, they have killed this country. None of them is qualified to stay in this country by now. Both the president, the senators, the reps, the chairman of local government, the governors, they are wicked. It doesn't matter the man of God they worship with. I tell you, before God and man, all of them are wicked. They hate this country. They succeeded in removing the livers, kidneys, the liver, kidneys, and the cardiovascular systems of this country, and they paralyzed the neurological organs, and handed over to Buhari, the new president, shambles, skeleton almost. A nation that is chromatic. Nigeria right now, economically, security-wise, is in the intensive care unit. If the oxygen is removed, Nigeria will go. People of God prayed from here and there. God answered our prayers and gave us Muhammad Buhari. And I want to tell you today, God has told us that Buhari is a prayer answered. President Buhari is an answered prayer. Whether you hate him or whether you like him, Buhari is a prayer answered. The bishops of Nigeria, the Catholics, prayed against bribery and corruption. And this president came with a Magna Charta that has to do with war against corruption. All the prayers we have been doing against corruption, God answered that prayer through a Muslim who decided not to discriminate. There's nothing like religious racial discrimination in Buhari's administration. He is a man for all. He means good for this country. And we owe him support. Unalloyed support. Consistent support. Perennial support. Unstoppable support. Spiritual and otherwise. Because if he is not the man on the helm of affair now, had he been the last regime continued, by now, Nigeria will be for sales. Who will buy? All the money is voted to buy this and buy that. Few people stole the money in billions of dollars. And you people are passing through chronic hunger, joblessness. Many have died, many are dying because of few people